Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hine Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
I made my decision. All right, so
What are we up to?
I put a little sticker.
Oh, thank you.
We're in Simon Pei, and then in the Reb Chaim Freelander, page 180, 182. You got it?
I got it.
I got it. So, the past few times we were talking about, it's getting a little bit esoteric, but more so than the rest of the Sefer, maybe a little bit. But I think we can do it. All right. So we were talking about how the neshama is a reflection of God's midas of midah of shleimus, perfection, and Hashem's and the body.
Of Hashem, or that's
Sounds like the.
because early in the beginning he was kind of saying anything we talk about is really almost more like midas, like nothing that's really like.
I think so. The fact that he is shalom, but there is a certain way that he deals with the world in shleimus, which brings about related. It's really that midas hayicha that we talked about. The fact that God brings the world about to its perfection.
Okay.
So the neshama was created from that attribute, whereas the soul, or as the body, the body was created from the attribute of Hester Panim, from Hashem hiding himself. And he said that while the attribute of Shleimus is really one, and it's indivisible, it doesn't have different parts, the Midah of Hester Panim has many, many different parts, and that's reflected in the body, that the body has many different limbs, and organs, and sinews, and whatever it is. And fine. We also talked about the more that we engage with the neshama, then the neshama becomes more powerful, rules over the body, and the more we follow our bodily desires, the more the body engages, the more the body becomes more powerful over the neshama, and the light does not show. And Steve asked a question on page 182, which I haven't got an answer to yet, but I've tried to ask around, that if the more we follow our neshama, there's more light, holy divine light, that makes it easier for us to do mitzvahs and things like that, then how could we say that someone who is greater than somebody else has a bigger Yetzer Hara than somebody else? So how to separate those two things is a very good question. Yeah.
Well, what does it mean that the Yetzer Hara is bigger?
I don't know. That's
what people say.
No, it's a real thing. But what does it mean? It doesn't mean that they want to eat. It means where they are, it's bigger. Meaning.
I get it.
But how does that work with the?
No, I don't know. I can't answer your question, but the point is, the Chaim Shulevitz is an amazing piece on this, and go ahead.
Okay. All right. So page 182. Halo shemata kfar. We already heard. Ki hashleimus hu echad. But perfection is one. Hashem's midah perfection is one. Ki ein shayach b'shleimus mamish cheser yeser. When we talk about perfection, it's not relevant to talk about deficiencies or extra. So when Hashem does not want to deal with the world with his attribute of perfection, then there's many ways that Hashem can punish or reward. Each person according to what he's done. Like we mentioned earlier. So Hashem wanted to make that his creation, i.e. humans, the human body, that it reflects the way that Hashem deals with the world. Now, how did Hashem create the human body? We said that Hashem created the human body through his attribute of Hester Panim, because the body is something which is chol, it's profane, it's not holy like a soul is holy. Right? Just trying to, I don't want to say it's like not holy, but there's something to the body, that the body still becomes, we talked about how the body is going to be perfected by the neshama in the world to come, and now even in this world, very holy people can perfect their body. But the soul is the part of a human, the neshama, that connects to Hashem and receives holiness, whereas the body is profane. We share a body with animals. There's nothing like that. So the body was created through Hester Panim, was created through this attribute where Hashem hides himself. So, and just like we just said here, that when Hashem deals with the world with Hester Panim, there are many facets of that. There are many ways that Hashem deals with the world by hiding himself. He rewards those. There's many, just here, so he says, there's many ways to reward somebody who does something good, and there are many ways to punish somebody who does something bad. So that multifaceted, distinct approach, the fact that there are many, many ways that Hashem deals with the world and has to punish, is reflected in the body, in the sense that the body, like we just said before, has many different parts, different organs, different limbs, etc. That it should reflect, the body reflects these different parts of the way Hashem deals with the world. So the body reflects the way that Hashem deals with the world with Hester Panim, with hiding himself. This is what I've mentioned to you. This is what it says. Hashem said to the angels when he created humans, let us make man in our image. In our Tevunos. So now we have another interpretation of what it means that man was created in the image of God. Man was created in the image of God, that his body reflects the way Hashem deals with the world. All of these elevated attributes, that the way Hashem, the separated attributes that Hashem deals with the world, that his attributes are operating on the world according to how the creations perceive them. So too we find the human body reflecting this. Derech mashal, for example, ayin. People have eyes. Tachas ein hashgachaso hamashgiach al kol yoshvei haaretz ladon al kol maaseim. Just like Hashem watches over the world and everyone who dwells in it to judge everyone's deeds. Ke'inyan shenemar, like it says, I will come down and I will see. That's when Hashem is judging. So he's saying that, what does it mean that Hester Panim, Hashem hiding himself, the way he deals with the world, is reflecting the human body? It means, for example, that just like a human being has an eye, that reflects the fact that Hashem looks at the world and judges the world to see what everybody's doing. Lametra, so what does it mean that Hashem says he comes down to see what everyone's doing to judge them? Lametra, it's to teach you a law in a way, the way Hashem judges. That a person, that a judge doesn't judge only what he sees. Right? You can only judge something that you see. You don't judge based on hearsay or whatever else. So Aznayim la'adam, now another example. Human beings have ears. Human beings have ears, and that reflects the fact that God listens to our prayers and our praises of Him. It says, Hashem heard their cries. And the rabbis say, Da ma lamala mimcha. And the rabbis say, know what's above you, ayin ro'ah v'ozen shamas. An eye that sees and an ear that hears. So obviously we know that Hashem doesn't really have an eye, He doesn't really have an ear, Hashem doesn't have a body. To say otherwise is heretical. But we have ears and we have eyes, and that is a reflection of the fact that Hashem, the way He deals with the world, sees what's going on and He hears our davening. So it's very... Right, the way the human body was made was not just willy-nilly. The way, when we say that we are created in the image of Hashem, that's really a deeper meaning now. We're saying that man was created and that all of his body parts reflect certain attributes that God deals with the world. Okay. Peba Adam, human being has a mouth. Ki pi Hashem diber bechazon l'neviyav, because Hashem speaks with quote-unquote his mouth. He doesn't really have a mouth, to his prophets. Umashmiya hod kolo, to hear his voice. Umalachav gibori koach osli dvaro, so that his quote-unquote God's voice can be heard by the angels to carry out His will. So all of these things that Hashem does, which, when we're kids, you think of Hashem speaking, you think of Hashem as having a body, but we know it's not true. But these are rather attributes of God that are reflected in the way He created the human body. Cool? Okay. Also, everything similar to this. All parts of the human body are explained very well. Makbilos, Tevunos, ve'inyanim lemidos of Yisbarach are explained as parallels and reflections to Hashem's attributes. Asher heichin lepolas nivrob, that He created to His creations. V'asoi gufo shel adam yamin u'smol, Hashem gave human beings a right and a left. V'hechbo dvarav lekan u'lekan. Oh, and he has two. Right, he has two of each of these body parts. Shtei einayim, two eyes. Shtei aznayim, two ears. Shtei yadayim, two 2 hands, shtei raglayim, 2 feet. Now, why are there 2 of each of these things? Why do you have 2 eyes? Why aren't we all cyclopses running around? So he says just because so too Hashem's attributes are doubled. How so? Im lachesed, im l'shevet. Because sometimes Hashem does kindness and sometimes Hashem does justice. Lehemin lizchus, the right represents justice. Ola hasmil lachova, and the left represents being found guilty in a judgment. This is how Hashem decided to deal with the world once he was hiding his absolute perfection, absolute goodness. Right? We said at the beginning that we are in a world now where we can't just, it's Hashem's existence and the fact that Hashem deals with the world is not readily apparent to us because he wants us to earn merit, he wants us to have free will. We can only have free will if he quote unquote hides himself from us in that sense. So he's not just totally revealing himself all the time. So now the way that Hashem deals with us in this situation of Hester Panim, of hiding himself, is reflecting the creation of the human body. Rabbi Braun wanted a Purim thing. This is like perfect. Right? If I would have prepared something with regarding Hester Panim and Purim, Hashem hiding himself, that's the whole Purim story. But we talked about that Thursday, so if anyone wants to listen, you can listen on YouTube from Thursday. Okay, let's finish this paragraph. V'amnam, kamoshe chalki aguf hazeh nivchanim v'nivdalim kach lefi tashmisham, just like the human body is reflecting the way it was created. Kach kol mikra ha'adam behester apanim hinehem mesibos mishapchos b'tach b'loisav l'pa'alam kechol ma she'anu roem b'yaldei azman dvar yom b'yomo. So just like the human body is reflected in the attributes that Hashem used to create us, so too, I think he's saying that this is the way that Hashem operates the world in events that happen to us based on Hester Panim, I believe. Second. Right, he's saying the events that happen in a person's life are also reflective of these attributes. And then next week we'll talk about the neshama. So we're talking about the body, how the body is reflective of this attribute of Hashem hiding himself. Next week we're going to talk about how the soul is reflective of the attribute of shleimus, which is indivisible. It doesn't have separate parts. And he's going to talk more about that.
One mount.